Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Dota Radio Morning Show, episode number 6. We have a guest with us today. Mr. Maut is joining us. Maut, I believe you're on the call. You coming in loud and clear, buddy?
I absolutely am. Thank you for
Yes.
having me this morning.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. Believe me, the pleasure is ours. You were on the chat wheel earlier this week. Our good friends over at What Is Hip TV. You did a nice, long, good hour and a half interview. And I enjoyed checking that out a little bit. Talk to us just a little bit about your background, your history. I'm going to try to keep this interview as different as possible. I know you just did some fun stuff at MLG, casting with BDiz,
Yeah.
and all that's in that interview, so I want to try and post some different content here. Talk to us a little bit about your history with gaming and esports. How did you first get involved with esports and broadcasting?
It's kind of been a little bit of a long, kind of interesting road. I started with, I think, doing World of Warcraft a couple of years back, and really I just wanted to stream that, and I wanted to be a part of kind of a scene. Um, you know, and Dota was kind of on my radar. I'd played Dota at specific LANs, with a lot of my friends, but it was nothing ever sort of kind of like other than just kind of fun. Like I didn't know any of the builds at the time. It was kind of like, all right, go sniper and build a sacred relic first, and just go for all the damage items that you can. It's kind of just like as a Dota player when you first start out, you don't really know a whole lot.
Yeah.
And then eventually switched over to WoW, got into a raid group and started streaming, and I had a lot of fun doing that. And then all my friends from WoW kind of said, okay, well, Dota 2 is coming out now. We've got beta keys. We're going to give you one. And I'm just like, yeah, I haven't played Dota in forever. And then I got there and I started playing Dota. And I was just like, holy shit, I'm awful at this game. I just realized that. And so I played a couple of games of that. And then eventually I played a lot more in about, I guess right before TI2 was announced, like a couple months before that, I started getting into casting. And mostly it was because I think I saw a Purge video, and Purge had done a video about how to get into casting and, about the barriers of entry and what you needed to really have. And I was just like, well, I can do that. There wasn't a whole lot out of casters at the time. And I just thought, that's something interesting that I'd try out. And so eventually I did it, and I did it a little bit more. And, I took criticism along the way, and I still take criticism. So I tried to grow as much as possible in the first couple months that I did it. And then eventually I got in contact with a man named Aaron Spitwad Stern, who runs NA Dota and Neo Dota. And he's like, yeah, you're pretty damn good at casting. And I'm just like, listen, man, I'm just doing this for fun. And eventually he brought me on in Neo Dota. And from there, I guess it's kind of history. So
Yeah.
other than that, yeah, I mean, it's been a wild ride, but it's been a lot of fun so far. So.
So, where would you rate your level of success as a caster? Have you been able to at least make a little bit of money off of it? Has it all just been for funsies as kind of a side project for you?
I mean, in terms of what I've been trying to accomplish, I mean, I'd rate the success pretty damn high, because when I got into it, it was always just about doing it for fun and kind of just seeing what happened. And here I am, and I've gotten a whole lot of opportunities. I've gotten to cast games that I never thought I would get to cast. I've casted in front of thousands of people. So, I mean, as a caster, I mean, you should understand. You guys should understand that it is just, it's so exciting to be able to do that, and it's really just, it's all about the fun, I think, and getting paid is kind of just a side thing, and and the fact that I'm actually looking at this as a potential real life job for me is pretty awesome. So I can't really complain about that.
Yeah, no, that's definitely right, and I have a very similar feeling about how it's more about building something sort of, for me at least, it's proving to myself that I can produce content on a regular basis. Proving to myself that I can get up and be motivated to give 110% and work on something. Casting is hard, man. It's one of the most difficult things I've ever done that I've been able to push myself to give 100% at pretty much every time.
It is. It's something that I think a lot of people don't understand, because you're giving a lot of effort in every cast. I mean, you're throwing yourself out there. You're literally like projecting yourself into a microphone. And some people say casting is easy. Casting, it doesn't take skill. It's a lie. You have to be on your ball like every single cast that you do. Like, you've got to be not only articulate, you have to know what you're talking about with certain insight. You also have to be able to be loud and exciting, and that's something that I've never had to really do before. But it's cool because how often do you get to talk to people over the internet about video games? And honestly, it's just a change of pace for me. It's very nice.
Yeah, I mean, it really is multitasking to the highest degree because you're thinking
Right.
about what you're going to say next, you're making sure you're being articulate and projecting, as you mentioned, but you're also controlling the camera. And for a lot of us, I mean, for us over here, I'm doing all that and then also doing the production, running the XSplit. And that's a lot to focus on, no teleprompter. There's one thing that Tasteless always used to say that, regular TV is easy. They have a teleprompter. They just read. We ad-lib everything. And
Yeah.
that's a whole nother beast as well. That takes a long time to really, really get into. And I'm sure Chris can empathize a bit with some of the stuff you're saying. One of the things I wanted to ask you about in quite a bit of detail here is what advice you have for other people that really have practiced casting on their own, say they like it, they'd love to be able to get into it, and they don't really know how to start. I mean, English commentary for Dota 2 is one of the most competitive markets in esports, I think, because everybody speaks English. Everyone's trying to do it. It's the primary language in which we watch Dota. So do you have any tips or advice or anything you would say to people that have no following and really want to get into casting Dota?
Honestly, I'd say a couple things. First and foremost is make sure that you just have the drive and the passion. And this is just standard. I guess it's really just motivational talk for anybody. Just don't quit. There's no reason to quit because you're gonna have people who are gonna be hard on you in any situation. Not everyone is going to like you as a caster, and that's something that I think all of the casters who have casted a decent amount understand, is that people are going to dislike your casting from time to time. It happens, and that sucks. But you can't please everybody, and it's unfortunate that that happens. But you got to deal with that. So don't give up because people are being annoying or jerks, or they're saying nasty things about you. Don't do that. Also, I'd say really check into your setup. I think you can really improve your casting just based on how your setup is alone. Really fiddle around with the camera settings in Dota TV. Really just fiddle around with the camera. Really fiddle around with the mic settings. Your mic, make sure you have a decent mic. Make sure your stream quality is good, because that right there is also about 50% casting. The last thing is be exciting. Have at least somewhat of a personality and enthusiasm. Don't be afraid to yell, because yeah, it might be strange. You might be in a dorm room or in an apartment with another person, and you have to yell in a microphone, and they're going to come over and they'll be like, "What the hell are you doing? Why are you doing that? Why are you yelling? Why are you being loud?" But you got to get over that kind of nervousness and weird feeling of doing that, in front of other people, because you're going to be doing that at a LAN. So you got to really just get over, I guess, any sort of anxieties.
Yeah, stage fright, as it may be.
Exactly.
I'm a big Star Trek fan, as viewers of this show know all too well.
Wait, The Next Generation?
Yes, absolutely. TNG all the way.
Yes, excellent, good.
We're friends already.
Fan.
This is,
yes.
I mean, I knew we were friends after that Staff Cup and how well we played against ESFI, but
we almost had it, man. We almost had it.
Cinderella story almost came true. I saw Patrick Stewart speak one time, and he spoke about this sort of defining point in his career, and it was when he was sort of a small Broadway actor in London, and he said he worked hard, they churned out a new show every week, and he said what he learned to do was to allow pieces of him that he didn't even know existed to come out on stage, to sort of be comfortable expressing yourself, letting those raw emotions come out, and being at that point where that people will see it, recognize it's genuine, and really appreciate it. And I think Toby is a really good point in case of that, where he's just a naturally energetic, especially a few years ago before Toby was really popular, sort of putting yourself out there, being that kind of goofy, bubbly, upbeat Australian character. I say that kind of lightly. That sounds sort of a negative connotation, but I mean it positively.
No, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
And that's something that I sort of struggled with for my first few years of casting, where you need to be comfortable with yourself on camera. I guess sort of like you said, be thick-skinned and recognize that people are going to hate you. They're going to make fun of you no matter what you look like, no matter what you're wearing. And you have to just recognize that some people are trolls, and don't pour gasoline on the fire. Just walk away and say, yeah, I see what you're doing. I'm not going to react. Chris, what do you think? Chris? No? Okay. No. I guess, I wonder if he's still with us. All right, well, we'll keep chugging full steam ahead here. So, Maut, talk to us a little bit about MLG. I know you were just casting with BDiz. What was that like? How was the MLG studio?
You brought up a good point a couple of moments ago, talking about just finding yourself and finding pieces of your emotion and your personality that you didn't know existed. And I think that was very true for me when I went to MLG and I went to the studios there. And I talked about this at the chat wheel a little bit when I talked about my journey to MLG, and I'll talk about that a little bit more as well. And I think the biggest thing for me is that it's just so nice to be able to cast in a studio, and it doesn't matter what studio it is. I could cast at any studio, but for MLG, it was just so nice because they have everything set up there for you. It is like they're serving it up on a silver platter. Obviously, with myself and Betas, it's very interesting because Betas is a caster I've casted with before, but he hadn't cast a whole lot, in the past. It's something he kind of did with Shiva. Obviously, he did a little bit before that with me and with other casters as well, but he wasn't really a huge person in casting scene, and obviously, he obviously wanted to get into it a lot more, and so we talked about it. We went down there and we went to the studio, and Beatles is all about just being clowny, and he's worried about being too professional, for MLG, and I'm just like, listen, just be yourself. And obviously, you get through the introduction of the first game, and you're a little jittery because it's a studio, and
Oh
the cast is not as top tier as I would like it to be, but we were having a great time eventually because we'd get over a couple games and then we'd see some clowny stuff, we'd laugh at some clowny stuff, we'd Beatas and I would make some mistakes, and he laughs in only a way that he can laugh, which just makes it so much easier for me as a caster. And he is a talented caster, and he's going to be going places in the near future for sure. But as far as MLG goes, in terms of who they are and what they're like, everyone there was outstanding. They are just so fantastic to work with. I mean, every single person was, you come in there and they just make it so relaxing for you. They make it just that much easier. And that just shows how top tier quality they are in terms of professionalism, in terms of what they've done for the scene, in terms of what they've done, and esports in general. So it's also kind of unbelievable, going in there because you think, how can esports be anywhere near a top tier level? And then you go into their place on Three Park Avenue and 32nd floor, and it's gigantic, it's huge, it's pretty much everything you imagine MLG would be. So I don't know, it was a fantastic experience. Probably I'd say second in Dota, only to TI3, but that was as a spectator. So
yeah. That is pretty exciting. That's kind of every nerd's dream, especially someone that's casting at all, to be able to have a presence in that studio. And I can absolutely empathize with what you're talking about with getting that first game out. That one
yes.
first game, I've always said I hate casting with people the first time because that one first game is just like, it's going to be a little bit awkward. You don't know the other person's mannerisms. You don't know how their cadence when they talk. You don't know if they're pausing because they just talk like that or if they're pausing to let you in. And I felt the same way every time I've casted in a new environment at a LAN or out of a different studio. Right. That first game is just clam. I remember when I was on camera for the first time at DreamHack Summer 2012. Oh God, there's are few things in my memory in esports that are on that level of embarrassing. The lighting, everyone said I looked like Marge Simpson with dreads because I was so yellow from the lights and stuff. And they gave me no prep on how to camera presence, so I just sat there just yeah, welcome to DreamHack. Hi,
you have that crazy photo they took of you?
Oh God, huh? So what's that, Chris?
So do you have that crazy photo they took of you? That's
I
terrifying.
I can probably find it. I always hate Googling myself because of all the terrible things that come up, but it's inevitable, I suppose. Here, let's see. Oh man, I think I have it somewhere. I might have it saved. I'll look for it as we chat here. But yeah, it's interesting a little bit. So talk to us about your relationship with MLG. I have to admit, I was one that thought you had been accepted in their position for. I know that's not true.
Quite.
I'm glad you curbed
Not
that
quite.
rumor in the chat wheel, but
Yeah.
I really thought that they had just selected you. You were their caster, and I mean, obviously I applied for it, and I was just like, all right, well that's cool. Maut got it. He deserves it. I figured him and I were, probably high up on the list, and that's not true.
I did not get it. You're
Yes.
correct. I have not. There's been no official word from MLG on as who has gotten the job yet, and I know they're. I talk with them a little bit, and they're really taking the time to whittle this list down, and they really want to make the right decision, and they're not completely sold on any one person yet, or any two people, or any group of people. Mm-hmm. They gave me a list of people that are right up there with me. And yes, Ziora, you are on that list. So I don't know if you've talked with them or not, but they think very highly of you,
Oh.
as well as you, Chris. But you know, it's like you said, it's a very competitive market, and honestly, you know, and it's obviously the dream opportunity for any caster out there. And whatever happens, I think I'll be okay with it because I've had the opportunity with them at MLG to cast in the studio. There are always other opportunities out there for me. My relationship with them has been fantastic. I mean, I have been nothing short of a pain in their ass in terms of bugging them and poking them and being, hey, what's going on? Can you let me know? I really want to know about this. Can you, like, I'm like a small child and I'm just like trying to go to his mother or father and just be like, please, can we go on the ride now? Please, just like, and I can, the fact that they've been so okay with that has been just outstanding because literally Adam Contini, the guy who works a lot in, of course, the MLG studios, and the guy I've been contacting with the most has been,
Their
I
senior
think I've
producer.
bugged him the most. And I think I've emailed him like 10 or 15 times. I've Skype messaged him more than I can count. And he somehow can still stand me. So, you know, thank God for that. But I don't know. It's I appreciate the fact that they're very um, you know, they're taking their time, like I said, and you know, obviously I would like it to be me, but honestly, it's also like I said before, it's fine. Whatever happens, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, and I think you've
So
hit on a very key thing is that it's not necessarily about having the position now, but having the contacts, having the network, being on their
right,
radar. You know, you
exactly,
being a person that they know that they can go to in a pinch, or if they need a caster that reliable. We've worked with this guy, he did a good job. Maybe he wasn't a fit for this position now, but this is still our guy. You know, you're on their list, and that's a good
exactly.
place to be, man. That's a hop and a skip ahead of a lot of the other casters out there. So that's good. That makes me feel good as well. I'm excited about the prospect of working with MLG. I've been to 7 MLG events, so it's sort of sad that I've been to so many
Quite a
MLG
bit.
events and I don't know anybody from MLG. I've never met any of the staff. The only people I know from MLG are people that don't work there anymore. So
Well, I mean, there's always a first time for everything, I think, in casting, and honestly, it's you know, it's the thing is it's new because they're doing Dota 2 for the first time, and that's something that I think everybody's kind of excited for. So
yeah,
it's a fresh start, I guess. And working with them also, I was able to talk about, and with Betas, we were able to talk about what we thought were going to be the best matchups for the round robin group stages, what were going to be the most highly coveted matches, and so it was nice to get that perspective. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think they want all of the prospective casters to come in and cast from the office. I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. I really shouldn't be talking too much about what they want to do because obviously I don't really know.
yeah.
I'm just a scrub caster who casts small matches every now and then. So, you know,
We're all
um,
curious for sure.
Yes.
well,
It's theory crafting at this point. I mean, they've been very quiet about. We don't even know how many people they want to hire. That's one of the other questions. I don't know. Is it a full time position? Are we talking a couple months? I know very little about this other than the fact that they're looking for people, and they have a lot of Dota stuff coming up, and something about 2014.
I'm
well,
pretty
I'll,
sure they said
I'll,
full time, but
I'll wait. Yeah. I mean, I think that's what they discussed. I'll reserve any sort of information that I think I have because I want them to be able to, you know, confirm and talk about it because I'm not MLG and I want to, you know, give people the wrong impression. So
No,
I will
fair
say
enough.
one thing. They were talking about the MLG streams and stuff like that. And obviously there's going to be the main stream, which is cast by all the BTS people. The secondary streams are going to be casted remotely for people that can't quite make it there, I believe. And then they have the analysis couch. Um, and I think I'm going to be a part of that in some way, shape, or form. I
Oh,
talked to
that's
Adam about
exciting.
it. Yeah, I asked to be a host, and they're going to put me on there. I don't know if it's going to be like I'm going to be there on the majority of the time, but you know, I'll probably be in there at least a little bit. So that's going to be really fun to do as well because.
Right.
You know, I'll be able to see a lot of the people I saw at TI3, and I'll be able to talk with a lot of either you know pro players or former pro players, and um, if you are, I think you're coming to Columbus. You're coming to Columbus, right?
Yep. Chris
Yes.
isn't, but I am. Poor Chris
Excellent.
is the odd duck out here.
Yes. Sorry, buddy. That's
it's
okay
all
though.
right.
You'll
I'll
be there in
survive.
spirit. You'll be
I
there in
will.
spirit.
I will be there in spirit, and I'll be there on the stream. Don't you think I won't be watching that?
All
Can't wait
right.
to see DK play
Excellent.
Navi.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
that'll be an excellent matchup. I'm so excited.
yeah, no, it definitely will be. I will be there though. My hotel and flight are booked and everything. I'm flying in a day early and gonna hang out with one of my friends, and then I'll be there full time. But I don't know. We sort of talked to Adam App a little bit about doing some remote coverage with Dota Radio, but I don't know if that's actually going to work out. I think they may have more casters than they know what to do with, so I don't know that they're going to need our services.
That's a good problem to have, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Again, for us, it was more like, oh, goody! I at least know he looked at my application now. You know, there was a little thing with the was Full Sail. Was we were going to do coverage, and we hadn't realized the whole platform thing. And Adam asked us to take. He applied to my Dota 2 caster application with, could you please stop streaming our stream on Twitch?
I heard about that. I was kind of like, I mean, Dota Radio is different. Like, I feel like they should have. I feel like anybody really should let you go. But then again, I can understand MLG, and I've worked with other companies that are kind of picky about streaming rights and everything like that. So it makes sense that people kind of just say, hey, we have this one stream going. You guys don't need the other one.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate, I guess, but
this whole time I've been frantically searching for that Marge Simpson picture, and I can't find it. Maybe it's gone from the internet. I hope not. I'm gonna keep looking. I'll try to post it later. Sorry, didn't mean to derail us, but no, for us it was much more just the acknowledgement of it. Oh, at least they noticed us. You know, we were more just like, oh God, I hope MLG isn't mad at us now. So I sent Adam a really apologetic message, and he was just like, don't worry, man, I'm not mad. You took the stream down. It's no problem. I was like, okay.
He's like the nicest guy, I feel like, in Dota community right now, and like everybody loves him. He is getting all of the Reddit love. He's getting all of the love in general, even after that whole Take 5 debacle, which was quite something. But
I have high hopes for MLG, saying their huge prize pool coming up that will culminate in Anaheim 2014. And just, I think they learned a lot in StarCraft as being kind of the premier North American tournament for StarCraft 2 for so long. And I think they learned a lot about do's and don'ts and things that esports fans really like, things that they really hate, and problems with things they ran into with StarCraft. I have high hopes, just based on the way that MLG has approached the scene so far, the amount of money they've vouched thus far, and I mean, just the lineup for Columbus is unfucking believable. Every time I look at it, it feels like a dream. You know?
It's pretty stacked. Yeah.
It's about as like, I don't think I could make a better tournament if I wanted. Like, all right, if I had to pick 8 teams, that's pretty damn close to the 8 that I would pick, you know?
Yeah.
That's maybe another great Asian team in there, you know, maybe Tong Fu or something, but still, just having DK over here in this arena
is great too.
Oh yeah, IG, yeah, I guess they're number 2 in WPC Ace. Maut, what is your most memorable esports moment? Doesn't have to be Dota 2, esports in general.
It's gonna be Dota 2 because that's about the entire esports scene for me. I mean, honestly, I do watch other esports. That is true. I do watch other esports. Like, I do watch Go from time to time. I watch StarCraft 2, which really excites me as well. But it's gonna be from Dota 2. I have to say, as a spectator, I've got probably 2. I've got 2. As a spectator, it's the TI3 Grand Finals Best of 5 series between Alliance and Na'Vi, which I was there live for, and that was, and a lot of people will probably say the same thing. I think a lot of people will say that was the series, and not even just the Best of 5. I think it was the entire TI3 in general, because it's one thing to go and to watch Dota and buy items and stuff from the store, and that's great and everything, but it was really also about the people that I met. The people that are big in the community, or people that I know personally, from either like NA Dota or like, Spitwad obviously is a very good friend of mine, and just meeting them, staying in an apartment with 11, 12, 13 other people, just having a great time, drinking, and then of course watching Dota in the day and the afternoon and not having to worry about anything and just like worrying about and really enjoying the games. And then the Best of 5 series to culminate that, to top everything off, really just blew my mind how good that game can be. And it really just, it was so much fun to be there. But, obviously there's a whole lot of other tournaments, obviously like Columbus, which is coming up, which I'm very excited for. Plus TI4 next year is going to be great as well. But other than that, as a caster, I'd say, kind of just recently, I had a cast with LD that I did for BTS for WePlay, and it was a group stage game. And it was Alliance versus Liquid. Liquid is, and I'm not going to pull any punches here, I'm a little bit of an American homer. Like, I love American teams, and Liquid's probably one of my favorite. And I do the NEL, which is the NA Dota Elite League, a lot, and I had a lot of, I guess before the couple weeks before the Alliance versus Liquid match, there was like NEL action, and this was right, when Elder Titan came out into Captain's mode, and I remember seeing him for the first time mid, and that was Bulba playing him, and it was like one of the first times he had ever played that hero mid, and he went for the 0-4-4-0 build, which is you get 4 points in the Astral, 4 points in the Natural Order, which was a ridiculous fucking build, and he killed everybody in the NEL, and I'm just like, I knew Liquid were going to do that. I knew they were going to draft that hero against Alliance, at least in the first game. I'm like, all right, LD, here's what we're going to see. We're going to see an Elder Titan mid from Bulba. They picked it, and then Alliance had no fucking idea it was coming, and and I love Alliance too, don't get me wrong, but they just trounced them, and it was just like, it was so invigorating, and it was so great as a caster, because I really pride myself on knowing what happens in the North American scene before teams pick it up. I kind of am, like, that's what kind of my niche is as a North American caster.
Right.
And I really love just seeing what they can do, what they like to work with. And that was really like another, there was way back when Gyrocopter, first got introduced as a carry, that was kind of a North American thing. When Visage was first played, that was kind of Fluff's thing as well. And when Mirana was a support, that was also Fluff's thing. So seeing another thing added up there just kind of made me so happy. And LD was kind of like, yeah, I can't believe they picked that. And then they went to town with it. And so had a lot of viewers for that game. It was really exciting stuff.
Yeah,
Is that also the game where they threw out the Medusa for one of the first
Yes,
times?
that was also the
since
Medusa
we got
game,
put
yeah.
in. They just
Yep.
I remember that because we were simulcasting a series where oh god, who was it? I think it was actually 4FC against it might have been Speed Gaming at the time.
Right.
And they pulled out the Elder Titan, Naga Siren, Medusa lineup at the same time. Liquid was just smashing
Yes, I
Alliance
remember
with
that.
it, and they just
Oh.
absolutely tore them apart. It was great. I
Yeah.
remember going over to the other stream and looking. I'm like, well, this is happening in two places
Yeah.
at once right
I was
now.
just like, wait a second, that's happening other places as well. This is very strange. I was like, because you see the Reddit post and they're like, Medusa plus Elder Titan picked in 2 games. I'm like, wait, what? When did that happen?
Yeah,
So
Star Ladder.
yeah,
Yeah,
I do remember that.
I remember that as well. I remember seeing it on Reddit being like, "Oh wow, that wasn't just unique to us." The timing on that was insane. Like literally, like almost side by side.
Yeah, it was like the same exact
those-
time, and it was nuts because that was the real coming out party, I think, for Elder Titan and plus Medusa. I mean, not that Medusa's seen a whole lot of play recently, but Elder Titan though, that was when it really started going crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's true.
Asian teams were all over him, but that was definitely when the West jumped him and was like, wait a minute, this is first pick. We got to start doing this now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So what about you, Chris? Most memorable esports moment? What do you got?
Oh God, me? I mean, I haven't done as much like huge event casting and stuff. I still think, and this is one of my first real introductions to how awesome high level Dota 2 could be. It's gonna be the same as a lot of other people's, but TI2, man, the play, because I was still mostly playing Han at that point. I hadn't made the full switch, and I saw that happen, and just forever. I could not go back to Han nearly with as much dedication after that. I was like, that was so incredible.
Yeah.
Just I still, every time I watch that replay and I feel it coming up, I get goosebumps, man. I get all tingly all over because I know what's coming, and it's still incredible when I watch it.
Yeah.
Fucking
blew my mind.
Lost, man. Lost, Light of Heaven, and his goddamn BKB. I swear, that guy is a hero to the entire Dota community. He is loved by many, including myself. He's quite the player.
Yeah. I have to say my highlight is casting DreamHack. You know, that's almost a once in a lifetime opportunity that is hard to come by. So that trumps all. But my second is just one of those sort of a small event that few people remember. MLG Columbus 2011. Opening match on that Friday night was Idra versus MC. MC is a really well-known Korean player, and at the time Idra was best player in the world, whatever, one of the best players in the world. And it was a PVZ. They were the sort of two. It was the big matchup. You know, that highlight. It was your Na'Vi versus Alliance, and the two of them just kind of had this bad blood between them. And I sort of I've never seen an MLG area that full before. Like, it's StarCraft main stage. Every single chair is full, and you look around, and there's just an arc of people around the seats, like as far back as people can still be able to stand. And it was just the most electric crowd I've ever been in. You know, one probe dies and everyone's just like, oh, God, no, the probe. Like, it was just, that was the moment when I said to myself, this is the fucking reason I do esports. I have not felt this kind of electricity anywhere else in my entire life. Like, I've been to a lot of concerts, a lot of sporting events, and this is just, I don't know, something about just everyone being so in the zone into a video game. And also at DreamHack, when I went to the Twitch after party, and they were at a club in Stockholm, and there was a projector playing the StarCraft finals on the dance floor while everybody was dancing. That was pretty cool too. That's how I knew I was in the right place.
Yeah, if we're mentioning StarCraft real quick, I just have to go back because my first big esports scene was StarCraft Brood War. I was following that for years before I was really, really into Han and really into Dota.
Mm-hmm.
And the final Brood War OSL finals between Jangbi and Fantasy was just so insane because, you know, it's literally this thing I'm watching and I'm like getting these VODs as soon as they're posted with English commentary. Obviously, it had already been played in Korea at the time.
Yep.
But just, I knew that I was sitting there. I'm like, this is literally the last OSL series we're ever going to play. We're moving to StarCraft 2. It is the end of an era, and I'm right here watching it. And it was just, it was incredible. And, of course, my boy won because Jambi was the man at the end of Brood War. Nobody could touch him. He was incredible. He went from being kind of washed up. Like, he was really good, then he was kind of washed up, and then he just came back and blew Fantasy out in 2 consecutive OSLs. It was great.
Yeah. Oh, esports nostalgia. So I have a lot more questions I want to ask you, Maut, but we're actually on a little bit of a tight schedule. Today is like the first Dota Radio morning show where I have something to do today, so I have to get out of here pretty quickly. One of the last things I want to ask you about, picture a pie chart in your head, and the pie chart is for success of casters. And let's break that pie chart into 4 different quadrants, right? We've got talent, just natural, raw, breaky CPK voice that you got a good dice roll from the Lord upstairs, right? Hardworking, you put in the hours. Networking is number 3. You know the right people in the right places. And 4 is just luck. Your timing. You're in the right place at the right time. How would you appropriate those in the pie chart? What would you say is the most significant, or would you call it kind of an even spread across those 4?
Let's see. You said talent, hard work, networking, and then what was the last one?
Luck / timing. Being in the right place at the right time.
How would I appropriate those? I think I'd put hardworking. Probably about 70% of that is hardworking. Honestly, talent, no, not talent. Maybe timing and talent. I don't know. Maybe 70% is too much. Probably, if I had to choose actual, values for it, it'd be tough to do. So I'd say about 60% hard work, or 50% hard work. Actually, let's go down a little bit more because I want to have enough room for everything and not sound like everything is like super. Based on that, but it is about 50% hard work, honestly. It's about, I'd say, 25%, 25% talent. No, I can't give you accurate values. I'll just go in order of 1 to 4.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Tell you,
that's fine.
I
didn't mean to make it that much of a stumper. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like confusing myself right now, and I don't want to. I'm not the best with numbers, but no, I'd say hard work is definitely at the top, and then close second, tied for third, is probably going to be your timing and your talent, and then probably networking is last. But don't get me wrong, all 3 of those last 3 are pretty close together. Honestly, any one can trump the other, but I think that, and any people will say this, that cast, I think hardworking is the most important. It's all about getting out there, casting games, building an audience, because, and I'll never forget what people keep telling me, and especially Aaron Spitwad told me this so much, your viewership doesn't just come overnight. You don't get popular overnight. You don't get a huge following overnight. It takes a long period of time to get up to what you feel should be, good for you, and I think that a lot of that has to do with that hard work. So the best thing to do is keep on casting, cast like every day if you can. Never turn down a cast was the advice I always gave out when people always ask me for advice, and I guess that's something I should have said earlier on the show, but never turn down a cast if you can afford it. If someone is giving you an opportunity to cast, especially when you aren't getting paid like at all, never turn down a cast. When you start getting paid, then you could start saying, okay, I'm going to maybe think about changing my strategy here. I don't have enough time to do all these casts. If you are getting paid, never turn down a cast, unless you have too much stuff going on. If you have nothing going on, definitely just cast, even if you're not going to get money for it, and you can try to argue and say, well, what if I try to negotiate it? No, it's better to always pick up a cast and cast it than just to let it go. So that's I think the biggest thing for me is hard work. And a lot of the people that have been casting for Dota and not even Dota, but for just other esports in general have I think succeeded based on hard work alone. Talent is really the least important thing, and you can gain skill in casting over a period of time. Anybody can do that. Anybody can become a decent caster if they take enough time to look at the game, get some insight into the game, and then of course get some insight into how they need to improve their cast. You may not have the best voice in the world. Honestly, I think my voice is the most nasally piece of shit in the world, but I think I do a good job of casting because I've given in the effort and I've given time and I've given what I need to in order to cast. But long story short, just work hard. That's about it.
Interesting. I've always, and that's exactly what I was looking for. That the numbers were relevant, just more in kind of, I think in numbers, but I guess just listing them out works as well. And I would kind of agree with you for the most part. I think things like talent, it's easy to chalk it up to talent. When you see someone like Breaky CPK who's so successful, has a naturally good voice, but for him, hard work, man. He's put in the hours. He's been casting on since that game started. Yeah, he has a good voice. That helped him, but I don't think that was the driving factor in getting there. And the networking and luck, I think, is a overall low number, but for some people, that's their core thing. There are definitely some people who are where they are because of that network. They know the right people. You have friends in EG or Navi or what have you. And some of that has to do with your luck and timing. Chris, I'll let you chime in here and get last word, and then we're going to wrap it up.
I'm not really sure I have a lot to add to that. I agree completely. I mean, the only time I did paid casting for Firefall was because I literally cast every single tournament that game ever had. I think I missed one tournament ever. Wow. And that's because the guys who were organizing it mistook me for someone else and got him instead. I literally cast every other one. And so yeah, just keep going. You will get good, and there will definitely be criticisms. People will say, oh, this guy may not know every exact thing he's talking about. They'll pick on little mistakes. But quite frankly, like, and when I first started casting Han, I really was really worried about every little mistake I made because I wasn't very good. I mean, I was casting because I had good energy, not because I knew a whole lot about the game or because I was like this super good analyst or because I'd spent hours and hours, studying mechanics. But, and once I got over that and I realized, people are going to pick on you. People are going to kind of jump on you, but most people are just enjoying your cast. And quite frankly, the guys who are picking on you, unless they're putting up something better, like you should take constructive criticism, people who are like, hey, I think this could make you better. But if someone's just trying to tear you down, unless they're putting up something better than you, who cares? And even if they are, who cares too?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Maybe I lied. I'll take last word here on this topic. Day 9 said something great. His secret to success is that he just shows up. And I really like that. And that sort of is an artistic way of saying just keep putting yourself out there. Just show up every day and make it happen. And that's the ticket to success. So awesome. Maut, thank you so much for joining us. Always interesting to hear from other esports folks. Any shout outs or anything you want to give for us? I have your Twitter and your Twitch TV channel up, but anything else you want to plug, go for it.
Honestly, I want to give a shout out to you guys for having me. And I told Greg this when they had me. It's always very humbling to be on an esports show, a talk show, what have you. So it's fantastic anytime I'm here. Shout out to the people that watch the NEL and the EEL on a consistent basis. Because those guys are awesome, and without them, we wouldn't have the following that we have. Shout out to the people that watch my stream, because there's only a couple of them. Shout out to the people that have given me opportunities in esports, whether that's Aaron or whoever. And shout out to Dark Falco, because he's in chat right now, and Dark Falco is a boss. So yes, that's it.
Awesome. Very nice. So, Chris, do you want to go into your segment here? Can we do it fairly quickly? Or is
we can.
Okay. All right, cool.
I mean, it's just...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, well, today, guys, Hippie's Analysis Desk is at World Devourer. And he's a guy who we saw a whole lot of play in 7-8 once people really discovered how badly he could crush mid and how much kind of an impact he could have on kind of mid-game team fights with all the magic damage he can put out and pure damage and stuff. And he's fallen off very quickly, despite the fact that the hero changes to him really weren't that big. And what you have to look for when you're looking for why he's fallen off is not only the change that we're no longer triggering Essence Aura through items, because the base damage reduced by 3, that's not a big deal. He got most of his damage through Astral Imprisonment anyway. So you no longer can proc Essence Aura off of Buckler, which makes his item path a little bit harder. He needs some sort of mana stability to keep himself in lane, and the fact that Tranquils are no longer boosts to sustain his hit points. So when you're thinking about why did this hero drop off, and you can think about this in a lot of different situations, why did this hero kind of rise? Why did this hero drop off? Also think about their item paths. And because the previous OD item path was almost universally, I don't think there were very, very few games in which you didn't go basically Tranquil Boots, Buckler. If you really, really needed one, you got a bottle. But generally, if you needed that spam, you were getting enough gold from last hitting to afford it. Now you can't go Tranquils; they're completely useless to OD. You can't really rush the Buckler before bottle, so you have to be getting boots, probably treads, to give yourself the move speed to compete and some extra stats to deal with mid lane into a bottle, which is delaying your core. It's delaying your effectiveness, and in general, you're not going to crush the lane as hard because of the item changes. And since we have Maut here, I'd like to see if he has any other comments on that.
No, you're absolutely right about that. That is the biggest change, and I talked with a couple people about that, especially Beatus, and he said the exact same thing. Is because the Tranquils are no longer active, plus the fact that you don't get the procs anyways through the Essence Aura and the Buckler, like you mentioned. And I was always a big fan of doing the bottle thing anyways, because I felt that, not that it was cheesy to do, I mean, it obviously was a better idea to go for Tranquils into a Buckler or something like that. But Bottle gave you that regen, gave you rune control as well, which a lot of people as an OD didn't like doing. They didn't like going for rune control. But you can always grab like an extra double damage or a regen, which is really nice to have. And you will have to use a Crow or something along those lines if you're not going to get the rune control. But I still think that he is still a strong hero. I mean, 3 base damage nerf, other than of course the items not proccing, is still, pretty, that's not a big change to him. 3 base damage is pretty much nothing. And you will have to get a little bit of a better start, and it's not hard to do that. So, honestly, I think he'll probably be back. We'll see him picked, just as much as we saw him picked in 6.78, I think, in terms of, first pick, first ban. But, for a period of time, there's going to be a lot of testing in terms of, what works. And I think right now the pushing meta is going to be coming very soon, if it's not here already. So, and that doesn't fit in so well when you have Death Prophet. So we'll see what happens.
Awesome. Anything else to add, Chris?
No, I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah, samesies. So, all right, very good, very good. So thank you for joining us here for episode 6 of the Dota Radio Morning Show, folks. Again, shout out to Maut for coming by. Make sure you guys follow him on Twitter at MautDota2, and his Twitch is the same thing, MautDota2 at twitch.tv. Remember, guys, you can always write into the show here, a morning show at DotaRadio.com. We're always curious about your comments, thoughts, anything like that. We will reply, possibly use some Q&A action if you do send us anything of interest. And of course, do visit the portal, dotaradio.com/morning show. You'll find all of the episodes archived there, as well as links to find the podcast on iTunes and all that other stuff. Remember, guys, we are on iTunes now. Any ratings / comments on there do help spread the good word of the Dota Radio Morning Show. So if you're on iTunes, we do certainly appreciate your patronage over on that front. Until next time, though, guys, we will see you Monday, 10 o'clock a.m. sharp Eastern Standard Time. Have a good weekend. Be kind to yourselves. Be kind to each other. We'll see you on the next Dota Radio Morning Show.